Before we begin, please imagine the bell notification is on and you're subscribed to Huna Stories. He read the message 3 times, not because it was unclear, but because of how efficiently it erased him. "We're done with you. Any issues go through my attorney." No greeting, no explanation. The phrasing was deliberate, clean, professional, designed to end things without inviting response. He noticed the punctuation more than the sentiment, the period after you, the way attorney replaced father in a single sentence. He set the phone down and waited for the reaction he assumed would come. The surge of anger, the familiar tightness in the chest, it didn't arrive. What came instead was a cool, almost clinical awareness. This was not an emotional outburst, it was a boundary declaration. He typed back, understood, and sent it before his brain could suggest alternatives. Not "I'm sorry," not "can we talk," just confirmation, compliance as requested. For a while, he sat still. He observed the absence of noise inside himself the way one notices a power outage. Not alarming, just different. The silence felt earned. It occurred to him then that this had been coming for years, the slow conversion of family language into transactional language, the way requests had started to sound like obligations, how his financial support, initially temporary, then habitual, had become assumed rather than acknowledged. He remembered the first account he'd helped with, a short-term bridge, they'd said, then another, then a restructure. He'd been told it was smart, efficient, good for everyone, family helping family. He hadn't questioned it, mostly because questioning always seemed to cause friction, and friction had consequences. That night, he opened his laptop. He didn't rush. He reviewed balances, access permissions, recurring transfers. The layout was familiar. He'd built much of it himself. Each account told a small story of compromise, extensions granted, timelines blurred, responsibility quietly transferred. He thought again about the message. Any issues go through my attorney. If that was the framework now, then clarity mattered. He removed his funding methodically, not aggressively, not punitively, just completely. Automatic transfers paused, shared access revoked, obligations dissolved back into their legal shapes. He closed the laptop and went to bed. The next day passed without incident. No calls he answered, no messages he engaged with. He noticed how his concentration improved, how easily time moved when it wasn't punctuated by low-grade anxiety. On the second day, his phone rang while he was grocery shopping. He let it go to voicemail. Then it rang again and again. When he listened later, his mother's voice was unrecognizable. She wasn't angry, she wasn't accusatory, she was panicked in a way that had nothing to do with feelings and everything to do with logistics. Deadlines had been missed, payments hadn't gone through, access was suddenly restricted, and no one could explain why. He replayed the message once, then deleted it. She called again that evening. This time, he answered. Her words came fast, tangled, questions layered over each other. She didn't mention the message from his father. She didn't apologize. She talked about urgency, about how this couldn't wait, about how things were getting complicated. He waited until she paused. "You said any issues should go through the attorney," he said evenly. "I'm following that." There was silence on the line. Not the dramatic kind, but the kind that happens when a rule is applied consistently for the first time. "This is family," she said, finally, the words sounding more like an argument than a truth. He considered that, not emotionally, structurally. "Family is why this worked as long as it did," he said. The terms changed. She cried then, not loudly, not performatively. He noted it without judgment. He also noted that she still hadn't asked how he was. In the days that followed, communication became fragmented. Messages routed through third parties, carefully worded emails, requests framed as clarifications. He responded when required, briefly, professionally. The systems did the rest. Banks don't care about history. Contracts don't care about intent. Once his name was gone, authority redistributed itself without drama. Decisions had to be made by people who hadn't prepared for them. He felt something then, not satisfaction exactly, more like alignment. The external world now reflected the boundary that had been declared to him so casually. One afternoon, weeks later, he received a final message from his mother. It was softer, less urgent. She asked if there was any way they could talk without lawyers. He didn't reply immediately. He didn't delete it either. He understood now that independence isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It arrives quietly, often disguised as loss. It leaves space where obligation used to sit, and that space can feel like grief before it feels like relief. He wasn't sure what would happen next. Some relationships end with explosions. Others end with paperwork. He set the phone down and went back to what he was doing, aware that for the first time, no one else's stability depended on his silence. The quiet felt unfamiliar, but it felt honest.